how long is a startup, right? So you mentioned like they aren't really a startup anymore, but so how long? What's the time frame on being a startup?
This is such a good question. I mean, we ask this question to startups that we speak to. I'm like, so when is a startup not really a startup? And I think everyone has different answers to this question. For me, I think there's like a number of contributing factors. So, for example, like if you've gone through a number of different funding rounds and you've raised like millions on multiple occasions, I think that's one contributing factor. I'm not saying if you have been through 4 running rounds and you've raised 2 million, then you're no longer a startup, because I know some businesses that have done that but still like have a long way to go. They've still got so much more that they want to plan and to give, and they've still only got like a small team. And then there's another contributing factor, I think, is how big the team is. Like we've spoken to people that have been running, for 8-9 years, and they still only have like a team of between 5 and 10 because, they're not there yet to scale to that capacity. Whereas I guess maybe when Deliveroo started out, they were like tiny, and now they must have like thousands of employees. Uber is another example. Like I know that there's definitely like thousands of people working for them. Do people still consider them a startup? Probably not, because of the amount of money they've made and the amount of team members they now have. So they've scaled. So I think it's a combination of how much money you've raised, how many has your team grown to, and how long you have been running. But it's not as black and white as saying, right, if you've been running 10 years, you are no longer a startup. As I say, you could be running like 2 years, have raised 10 million and now have a team of like 10,000 people. Well, I personally wouldn't necessarily call you a startup. But I think, it is down to people's personal opinions. But I think it's, contributing factors kind of add up. It's like a point system.
There's no set formula, right? It's not like 10 years you're out of startup phase, or 50 employees or whatever the case is.
No, and like we never say, oh, you can't be featured in Startups magazine because you have this, and this. Like sometimes people say, oh, can we be featured? And they have like been running 10 years and they have like hundreds of employees, and I'm like, do you consider yourselves a startup? Like really?